Hello students of the first secondary stage literary and scientific section. أهلا بكم أعزائي طلاب الصف الأول الثانوي القسم الأدبي والعلمي. Today we will explain lesson 5 Treasure Island chapter 9. Okay, let's read the text then answer the question. And we will translate difficult vocabulary through reading. Let's read first. Chapter 9, Jim Hawkins. It was very hot and I was thirsty. The trees were near now, but before I could feel happy, I saw the Hispaniola sailing around. I was so thirsty that I did not know whether I would be happy or sad if the pirates found me. I watched the Hispaniola and saw that it went east, then west, then stopped. Then it did the same again and again. Nobody was sailing it, but where were the men? I thought if I could get onto the ship, I could return it to Captain Smollett. I started to paddle the boat. كلمة paddle بمعنى يجدف. Sometimes hitting waves, but slowly getting closer to the ship. As I got nearer, I saw nobody on the ship. I was so close that I could almost touch it. Suddenly, the wind changed and the ship was almost on top of me. I held onto a rope at the side of the ship just before it hit my little boat, which went under the waves. So I found myself on the Hispaniola with no other boat to save me. I climbed up onto the deck which seemed empty. كلمة deck بمعنى ظهر المركب. The wind blew and the sails moved to the right. كلمة sails بمعنى الشراع. And then I saw them. Hans and the man he was fighting, I thought they were both dead. But then Hans said weakly, "Water." I went downstairs. The pirates had broken all the cupboard doors when they were looking for the map, and the floor was dirty with sand and mud from the island. I found some water and some food, which I put in my bag, and I went back to give the water to Hans. He drank all of it very quickly. "Are you hurt?" I asked him. "With a doctor, I will be fine," he said. "And where have you been?" "Well, I have decided to take the ship, so you must now call me Captain," I said. He looked at me angrily, but he also looked very ill. "Also, Mr. Hans, we can't have this flag on the ship," I said, and then I went to take down the black pirate flag. Hans looked at me and then said, You will want to go to the island, won't you, Captain Hawkins? Let's talk." "That's a good idea. I don't think you can sail this ship," Hans said. "So if you give me food and drink and help me with my wand, I will help you." كلمة wand بمعنى جرح. "Okay," I said, "but I'm not going back to where the ship was before. We are going to the north of the island." "The north?" he asked. "Of course, I will sail the ship wherever you want to go." So I agreed to help him. I found a bandage. كلمة bandage بمعنى ضمادة. To put on his wand, and I also gave him some food and some more water. He soon looked better. He told me how to sail the ship. It moved quickly along the coast of Treasure Island, and soon we could see the rocky north of the island. I felt good. I had water and food. The only thing that worried me was Hans. He looked at me all the time, and I knew that he was planning something. We arrived near the north of the island, and Hans told me how to stop the ship without another. Then we sat down to eat. Could you go downstairs and get me some more water? He asked. I did not think for a minute that Hans was an honest man. He wanted me to leave the deck for a reason, but I did not know what this was. However, I also knew that Hans was not a clever man, so I agreed to go. I went downstairs, made a lot of noise, then took off my shoes and went quietly to another part of the ship, where I could see him. He was moving slowly and painfully across the deck, where he picked up a knife. He then hid the knife in his jacket and sat down where he was. Now I knew that he could move, that he had a weapon, and that he planned to hurt me. I did not know what he planned to do after that, but I knew that he could not hurt me until the ship stopped in a safe place near the island. I went back downstairs, but on my shoes, and returned with a bottle of water. Hans was sitting quietly and took the bottle without saying thank you. Then he said, "Look, the wind has changed. If we move the ship now, we will be safe." We had only 2 miles to go to the shore. It was difficult to get to the correct place on the coast, but Hans told me what to do. This part of the island was full of trees and we could see the wreck. كلمة wreck بمعنى الحطام of an old ship lying on a flat beach. كلمة flat بمعنى مسطح. flat beach اللي هو الشاطئ المسطح أو المستوي. We can stop there on the beach, said Hans. I steered the ship slowly onto the beach where it stopped with a low noise. I was so excited to arrive back at the island that I forgot to watch. Hence, I suddenly turned round and there he was, standing with a knife in his hand. I cried out and he jumped at me. I moved quickly to one side and he fell on the deck before he could stand up again. A gun from my jacket. However, the gun was wet from my journey and it did not work. I was very angry with myself. I was surprised at how fast he could move with the wand in his leg. As he ran towards me, I got ready to run away from him again, and he stopped. I remembered a game that I used to play with my friends in Black Hill cover when one of us would try to catch the other. كلمة catch بمعنى يلحق بالآخر أو يمسك بيه. I was always good at this game and I thought that I could easily run away from this older pirate with a bad leg. At the moment, a wave hit the Hispaniola. When the ship moved, we both fell over and nearly fell onto Hans before he could stand. I did the mast. كلمة mast بمعنى سارية السفينة. Up in the sails, I had time to repair my gun and soon it would be ready to fire again. Hans looked up at me and saw my plan. He too started to climb the sails, but he could only climb slowly because of his bad leg. Before he was near me, I had the gun ready. If you come any closer, Mr. Hans, you will be dead. He stopped and I could see he was thinking about what he could do. You're clever, Jim Hawkins, he said. You have won. I started to laugh, thinking I was clever, when suddenly he threw something at me. His knife flew through the air and hit me in the shoulder. كلمة shoulder بمعنى كتف. I was so surprised that, without knowing how, my gun fired. Hans gave a cry and fell down into the sea. I never saw him again. The knife passed through my shoulder into the wood of the mast, so I could not move. It hurt badly. It took a long time before I could think. When I finally looked at the knife, I saw that it only went through a small piece of skin. It was not difficult to take out. I climbed back to the deck and found a bandage for my wound. I was now alone on the ship and it was nearly dark. I quickly took down all the sails I could reach. كلمة reach بمعنى يصل إلى. And then jumped down into the shallow water. كلمة shallow water المياه الضحلة. I walked onto the sand, leaving the Hispaniola half on the beach and half in the water. Let's answer exercise 1, vocabulary. Choose the correct word. Bahir has grown so tall that he can catch ولا reach the top window now. أكيد طبعا reach. يصل إلى قمة الويندو، قمة الشباك الآن أو النافذة. Number 2, all the tourists stood on the deck or mast of the ship when they sailed into Alexandria. طبعا هيبقى الإجابة deck لأنه بالضبط يقف على ظهر السفينة. Number 3, this table is not flat or shallow, so I can't do my homework on it. يعني الترابيزة دي مش ايه، طبعا اكيد مش مستوية، يبقى كلمة flat, so I can't do my homework on it. مش قادرة اعمل الواجب عليها. Number 4, Angie can't play basketball today because she hurt. ليه مش انجي مش تقدر تلعب باسكتبول كرة يد؟ يا ترى لان هي اذت her shoulder ولا her wrist؟ طبعا her shoulder اللي هو كتفها. Number 5, after the accident we put a bandage or wand on Hatem's arm. بعد الحادثة يا ترى حطينا ضمادة ولا جرح على ايد حاتم؟ طبعا حطينا ضمادة يبقى bandage. Number 6, I tried to paddle ولا to dive the small boat alone. حاولت ان انا اجدف ولا اغطس بالسمول بوت اللي هو القارب الصغير لوحدي. طبعا to paddle يبقى اجابتي هتبقى I tried to paddle او يجدف اللي هو the small boat alone. Thank you my student. طبعا هتعملوا exercise 2 as home assignment أو homework. Thank you my students. See you later in later videos. Thank you and goodbye.